Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to come and talk to you. And talking to Leon a few weeks ago, said I would prefer to actually do a slide presentation, pictures, because I'm a trader and a salesman, and I think it's easy for me to sell my product if you can see what I'm selling. So there's a reason why I have a slide presentation. And talking about the topic being walking away is not an option. I've taken a decision if I wasn't doing the job I'm doing today, I would really think I would probably be today in a mental institution or being a drunkard. And I decided to avoid both and rather do this terrible job that I'm doing. So for me, running away is not an option. This is just to give you a slight idea of my humble beginnings. I'm a product of an interaction that happened in December 1958. Because jumped out of my mother's body on the 26th of August 1959. So actually my life started in December 1958 when my parents, as you can see them, I don't know whether I was planned or I'm a product of their interaction, but that's when my life started. 26th of August was just to really come into this world. So these are my parents. As you can see, some of my family. I'm the one there with a ring on. Simple life growing up in the apartheid South Africa, having to wear steel wood and to water from Steenkamp farm, who had a farm much, probably 3 times the size of our entire community. Electricity being something very foreign to me growing up. And I was actually born and raised in a child-headed household. When I opened my eyes to this world, my mother was working as a domestic worker in Johannesburg, looking after white children and cleaning white homes. And my sisters had to take care of me. But I became not a victim. And with this grandfather of mine who actually had help to shape my life, taught me and instilled in me a sense of self-reliance, making sure that I live my own dream, not someone else's dream. And also taught me the importance of stability in one's life, and also insisted on me not to stand on the fence. He used to say to me, my boy, you stand on the fence, it'll keep going up, and one day you're gonna fall and you're gonna hurt yourself. Rather be on the ground. But one thing that you must understand, being on the ground, no one is going to like, not everybody's going to like you, and be comfortable with it as long as you stand for whatever you stand for, but never on the fence. And my grandfather, for some reason, successful for me was not negotiable. Actually, I remember growing up, I used to feel that my grandfather's expectations of me were unreasonable, but I realized later, really growing up in an environment where, I don't know if you guys are aware, the lawyers are here, they will know, in 1950, the National Party passed a law called the Suppression of Communist Act in 1950. So I was born a communist by the National Party, because obviously this piece of law defined anyone who was against apartheid, declared a communist, black and white. So because obviously being oppressed would naturally object to apartheid, and therefore we were called communist from the day we were born. Us black people and some white people who objected and were against apartheid, we were communist by nature. Had a short stint at university in 1979, the University of the North, born and raised in Pretoria, in Amanskral, 40 kilometers away from Pretoria University, but unfortunately I couldn't even walk past anywhere near that university. I had to go 350 kilometers at the University of the North. And unfortunately, my academic career was disrupted second year of my studies. I don't know if probably some of you, I don't know, Leon, were you maybe one of them in the army, because one morning you guys surrounded the university and at 6 o'clock, and you said you must leave by 12 o'clock. And I remember that day I did not even have a cent. And obviously being in a university was assisted by the Catholic Church. They gave me 50% of my bursary, and my brother-in-law helped me with getting a loan from Barclays Bank. So that became, unfortunately, the end of my academic career, because when they called us back, I decided I'm not going to that toxic place. I wanted to leave the country, go to military training. But then there's a reason why I've decided this time I'm not going away, because in 1980, after my education was disrupted, I was a very angry young black man. I just wanted the Russians to give me an AK-47, teach me how to use it, come and really disrupt others, those who disrupted me. But God had other plans for me. And ended up working. I worked for 2 companies in my life for a salary of 30 months. 7 months with Spar Pretoria as a distribution clerk. Worked for Motani Industries for 23 months, also as a dispatch clerk. And all of a sudden at 10:22, I got a shock of my life. I realized I'm getting old. And then my grandfather had said to me, I've got to succeed, but working for someone, I'm not going to succeed. So I've got to do something. That's when I decided I'm going to go into business. And remember those days as black people, we're not allowed to go to business. But at the same time, I said, no, PW Porter or not, I'm going to go into business. People are always looking for something to buy. I've thought of an opportunity to be selling anything that the community and people want. But before buying a car, because for me to really be a trader, I needed a car. Before doing that, I said, let me stabilize my life. That's how I got married, and I'm glad my wife is here. Been married to her for 42 years, and that's how she protected me from myself. Months later, I was earning up to 4,000 rands a month and growing. But I got nervous again to say, well, Herman, this man is going to get rid of you one day. You live in someone's dream. Why don't you make this product? So black women out there want to be parent. And this is a business that is there forever. Why don't you make a plan to do it yourself? 1984 conceived the idea of starting my own business with the 3 gentlemen. I proposed to them. Joseph Molonta was a salesman I had recruited to work with me. Johan Krill was the chemist, production manager for Supercell. And we took a hell of a chance, big gamble. 1984 to approach a white man to say, let's go into business together, let's go and manufacture products ourselves. Was a big gamble, but I think for me was worth the risk. And Johan was interested, and he says, guys, I don't have the money, so just leave that to us. Approached a very successful businessman, well known in Mabopane, called Walter Dube. I'm sure Leon through NAFCOP, you know Walter Dube, and Uncle Nets. Approached them, says, guys, we need 30,000 rand to start a business in a place, I think about 200 square meters, slightly smaller than this. My opening remarks to Walter was Mr. Dube, because he was double our age. We said, we found a machine to legally print money. before we can give you the presentation, are you pretty happy to listen to us? Gave him the presentation. He says, guys, I'm happy to fund you. Business schools all over the world have really done studies on my funding. I'm one entrepreneur in the world who received one of the most expanding funding. The whole time, and Uncle Ned, they didn't know us. I was 24 at the time. They said, look, we can fund you guys, but give us prime plus 10. Plus we want 25% share of the business. And you've got to pay us back in 3 years. Lucky for us, and we're really grateful for all 10 Uncle Neds for having had the confidence with us. 7 months later, we repaid that loan. 5 years later, I had my own factory, 6,000 square meters, spent over 10 million rands to build this factory with no funding from anyone. Right in the township in Mabopane, because obviously those days I couldn't go into Roslyn or any other place. It was obviously those places were reserved for white business. But the apartheid government did not really stop me from actually living my own dream. So everything else is history. That's how Connie and I started, recruited her. She used to work for Southern Sons as a junior bookkeeper, got her to join me in my business. This is in our 200 square meter factory. So this is about 8 or 9 months later, because in the beginning we did not even have a telephone in our offices, but here by that time we had already had our own factory, and I managed to really get telephones. Yes, and 1994 happened, something that we never thought was going to happen in our lifetime, or see a peaceful transition. So vote and for Nelson Mandela. I believe personally as a black entrepreneur, I don't really believe there's anyone who spent more money than I did in vote education, getting black people to go out and vote. Spend a lot of money to make sure that black people go out and vote for Nelson Mandela, because I wanted to unleash black entrepreneurship that was there in our country during apartheid, which was oppressed. So I thought we were going to unleash the potential. Unfortunately, during Thabo Mbeki, we started seeing smoke, started seeing real challenges coming out of our country. The first big investment this country makes its own armament. And as you can imagine, South Africa at the time, we were a darling of the world. We were really a proud nation. We started seeing Thabo Mbeki siding with Mugabe, destroying beautiful Zimbabwe. One country that my wife and I, before FW de Klerk announced the unveiling of political parties, we were already planning to go and live and have our business in Zimbabwe. We saw Zimbabwe actually collapse in front of our eyes, and Thabo Mbeki and the ANC in support of such a dictator. And yes, then came 2006 or so, then Jacob Zuma took over the government. That's when we started really seeing our country to really going south. And as I said, the dream deferred, becoming one of the most unequal society in the world. And these are issues that really worried me really very badly, because this new government that we supported, we thought after apartheid we'll see the unleashing of potential of South Africans. In the meantime, we were getting, the inequality was getting wider. wasn't only just at the time black and white. We started seeing few black people turning overnight into billionaires, multi-billionaires, without even having to sell tomatoes. I always say that if I look at some of our people today who benefited out of this situation, that even if you can give them exclusive rights to sell potatoes in South Africa, they won't make a profit. But they are billionaires today. And at the same time, we see more and more of our people getting poorer, destroying our education, opening our borders, allowing international drug syndicates to come and destroy our youth. That's when I said, no, this is unacceptable. I then said, what do I do? The first thing I first tried was through the Institute of Directors. I served on the board of the Institute and became a chairman for 3 years. And I'm proud that during my tenure as chairman of the Institute of Directors, we stopped campaign to stop fees we were paying to IOD in the UK. I saw no reason why we were paying South African monies to the UK, and played that role. And a few years later, known member of the Free Market Foundation for a long time, one day I see Julius Malema walking from the mining houses in Johannesburg from the Chamber of Mines, went to the stock exchange in Johannesburg, in Sentinel, and walked to Pretoria. And at the time he was a firebrand of the ANC Youth League. A few days later I called Leon. I said, Leon, can we have lunch together? I said, Leon, that's well and good. I've been a member supporting you financially. I think perhaps the Free Market Foundation might really be the vehicle to use. And joined the Free Market Foundation, became the chairman, put together like-minded South Africans to join the Free Market Foundation, and managed to convince the foundation that we challenge Section 32 of the Labor Relations Act. And I'm glad to see our senior advocate was there, who played a key role in identifying the loophole in that. At the time, big business in this country was scared of ANC and COSATU. And I said, no, I'll take them on. And I'm sure Leon knows, I'd actually use my own money to really fund this, because it was an unjust piece of legislation destroying small businesses and unemployed South Africans. And unfortunately, because of my big mouth, I attracted the attention of the DA towards the 2026 local government elections, approached me to be the mayoral candidate for Johannesburg. I said, what the hell is this? What does the mayor do? I have no idea. But because obviously I've always felt I've got to really do something, I accepted, and I'm really proud that first year alone, in the 8 months campaigning, brought the ANC below 50% and became the mayor of the city of Johannesburg for 3 years. And I think, so that was a huge challenge. Huge challenge. Yeah. And so we formed obviously the coalition government with the EFF voting with us on an issue by issue basis. Unfortunately, the 3 years where the DA discovered that the DA and I, we don't really share the same values. Discovered that there are right-wing elements within the organization. When they came into power, I decided to leave because I did not want to be associated with right-wing elements in my country in a democratic dispensation. That's why on the 21st of October 2019, I resigned 2 years ahead of finishing my term. South Africans asked me to start my own political party, but then I wanted to first test to see if these are genuine people. Started with a project called the People's Dialogue, which I launched on the 6th of December 2019. And a colleague of mine who was my chief of staff, Michael Billman, wrote this book, Accidental Mayor. Will give you a sense when you get an opportunity to read the book, give you the insight of what I uncovered in the 3 years when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. Yeah, 29th of August, forced to start my own party, launched it on the 29th of August with these values of non-racialism, economic prosperity, in fact, of pursuing what Leon and I were fighting for. I'm a very strong believer in social justice. I can declare I'm a capitalist, but one thing, injustice for me is not negotiable. And I believe very strongly in the rule of the law. And I really believe people deserve to get education, because if we're not going to bring quality education to our people, we're going to have problems. And we need ethical leaders in politics. Lucky for me, my grandfather instilled in me to make sure that no one ever will ever have a gun at my head. That's why some people think I'm a difficult person, because I don't stand on the fence. What you see is what you get. So if you don't like me, it's your problem. Don't make your problem mine. So that's really how I operate. So yeah, today we're really very proud. 5-year-old party, we represented in all 3 spheres of government, 6 members of parliament led by Arthur Troleb. I've got 5 members in the provincial legislature. I've got 145 councillors, and hopefully in 2 weeks' time we'll add another 2 because we're busy with by-election in 2 of the municipalities. And I'm really very proud, playing the role today, a party 5 years old. Our party is the one that's actually leading the capital city of our country, putting a young black woman, Dr. Nasiphi Moyo. Remember, I'm on record when I took a decision to take over the city of Tshwane. I said, Tshwane, municipality, if it was a business and I was a director, I was going to call for its liquidation. But because it's a country, you can't liquidate a country, you've got to fix it. And I'm glad with what they've achieved. Yeah, right now, going forward to 2026, because last year with the general elections, we made a mistake, we overstretched ourselves. Right now, we're busy preparing ourselves for the upcoming local government elections. We will contest out of the 257 municipalities. We'll only contest in 18 or so municipalities we've identified, so that no one can govern without us. Majority of the municipalities we leave out. We're going to focus on municipalities where no one can govern without us. So really quite exciting, challenging job, but fortunate enough, it saved me from ending up in a mental institution or being a drunkard. I'm a proud South African living a life of purpose. Thank you very much.